yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Monday. It's not Zero Dark 30. It's John in the bunker coming at you guys. Get your questions down below because I'm going to do my monologue and then we're going to do Q&A, the question and answer. And if you're not on the preparedmind.club or you're not on subscribestar.com, then you're not on with me live. You have to go to those places, the club or Subscribestar, and sign up. And it's only, that's right, $2 a month. Okay, folks, we have an amazing next level SHTF development that's going on. I know you have questions, so get them in. I'm going to talk about some shit that's very interesting, right? Let's start with this. Amazon, folks, has announced a massive layoff. Massive, huge, massive layoff. Citing, quote, an uncertain economy. Now, private economists, banks, experts, talking heads, pundits, and even the mainstream media seems to recognize that there is a recession. The only one who is still holding out seems to be the Federal Reserve. I actually read something from it was quoting Jerome Powell the other day, and he's like, I'm not too sure if we're there yet. Let's just raise interest rates some more. And that's what they're doing, folks. They are jacking the system up. Anyways, speaking of jacking the system up, Amazon is now doing their additional part. Right? First, they go into business. They lose money for what, 15, 20 fucking years before they show a profit? And who knows, maybe they're not showing a profit still. That said, they've put mom and pop out of business. They have put small independent stores out of business. They have put online businesses out of business. They've probably put Walmarts and Kmarts out of business in their less profitable areas. Amazon. And now a little economic downturn. And guess what? They're laying people off. Isn't that just amazing? Are we supposed to feel bad for Jeff Bezos? No, folks. We better feel bad and pay attention to what's happening to Joe American. Joe Sixpack, right? Jane America, taking it in the shorts. And now Amazon's like, well, you know what? We fucked everyone else over, and now we're going to fuck over our own workers and let them go because we want to make sure we make enough money. I'm sure they're going to continue to expand and build more of their distribution centers. Folks, within 10 minutes of where I'm sitting right now, I think there's 2 distribution centers in what I consider, not a massive metropolis. Yeah. Right. The woke bullshit filter. I hit that. Here, let's take a look at it again. Woke bullshit filter. That's right. I don't take their bullshit very lightly. So what else is going on with the woke world, the SHTF? Mars M&Ms, the venerable, longtime candy maker for America, for the world, right? Right? They make M&Ms. They have unveiled a limited edition M&Ms package. Does anyone give a shit about limited edition candies? But it's a limited edition all-female M&M bag featuring lesbian and fat-positive candies in celebration of someone somewhere. Feminist candy now, folks. Number one, from my seat right here in the Prepared Mind bunker, I say fuck M&Ms and Mars. I'm no longer buying them. In fact, I was already not buying them because their last little stunt, their little trans M&Ms. Yeah, they're continuing to use cartoon characters, because that's what the M&M's characters are, to push a perverted, sick, twisted fruitcake ideology on children. Now, when I was a kid, we had Spuds MacKenzie and you had Joe Camel, and they said no more advertising using cartoon-like characters, right? That's right. Joe Camel was a cartoon character used to sell cigarettes to kids, they said. Well, I used to wear Joe Camel clothing, t-shirts, stuff because it was funny. At the same time, I never smoked. Never smoked Camel cigarettes, folks. Never smoked Marlboros. Never smoked Lucky Strikes or Bell Mells. Never did it. But these people, folks, they're pushing this weird, wacky, just sexually deviant crap on children using cartoon characters. What's worth? A couple of cigarettes? I mean, what's worse? A couple of cigarettes or cutting your nutsack off, right? Puffing a couple cigarettes and drinking a Corona, a Spuds MacKenzie Bud Light? Or is it worse if you get a hysterectomy and smash your boobs or just cut them off altogether? That's what's going on, folks. Next level stupid is happening. So, I've got more. Put on your seatbelt. Get ready for this. Brazil's communist POS president, Lula, who is a convicted felon. Somehow, Brazil looked past all of that and said, hey, you're a communist and a criminal? We're going to elect you. And against all odds, just like Joe Biden, he gets elected. He takes to the microphone today to address what's going on in Brazil about the tens of thousands of protesters occupying Brasilia, their main headquarters, their capital. And he condemns the protesters as Stalinists. And then he goes, quote, no, not Stalinists, fascists. So Brazil also has a senile dotard who can't think, can't speak, and makes gaffe after gaffe. Okay, we got another Biden. Are we seeing a pattern here? Yeah, I know of another country that had an old senile, dementia-ridden fool campaign from a basement, pushing socialist garbage and bilge on the people when he did manage to rear his ugly head, insulting people of color, insulting minorities, insulting everybody, insulting workers. Everybody was insulted with his racist stupidity. This guy that I'm talking about, FJB. And somehow, without campaigning and having meager, and I mean meager, campaign rallies with, folks, literally less than 100 people. Really? Go back and watch. I double dog dare you. Go back and watch the presidential celebration of 2020 after Joe Biden won the election. Look at that celebration. It was a bunch of staged hoo-hoo. People weren't excited then. They're not excited now. And they're not excited in Brazil. In fact, in Brazil, they seem to have a problem with this guy who doesn't, I mean, you talk about projection. When a Democrat speaks and they're accusing Republicans of crap, it's like, no, you're talking about yourselves. You're projecting your guilt, your issues, your problem on everyone else. This guy comes out and calls the protesters Stalinists. He's projecting. Stalin, folks, Joseph Stalin became the Soviet premier, right? The head man in charge. And he, folks, one of the first things he did was have like half of his officer corps in the military killed. And then he went after and killed millions and tens of millions of his own people. Joseph Stalin. Wow, we're back. Uman, are we back? Okay, head shake, yes. Stalin killed millions of his own people. He's the one that killed people in Western Russia and Ukraine and Lithuania, a communist, a socialist. And we have next level SHTF coming out of Brazil now. So let's do this, right? Let's take a look at what they're doing down there. It's quite interesting. Nope, that's the next update. First, I want to do this. Bolsonaro, who's in Florida, has condemned the vandalism that's being done down in Brazil. Oh, don't worry, folks. That is not the protesters. That's not the protesters. The protesters are going after the agents provocateurs in the crowd. They're disarming them. In other words, they're taking their weapons and their tools and then giving them to the police, saying, these are not us, the people who own Brazil. These are your agents. Get them the fuck out of there. Interesting, huh? Now, I've heard of Colombian neckties. Are we going to see Brazilian neckties? Yes, folks, as predicted, the U.S. mainstream media is trying to blame the Brazilian citizens' revolt against socialist communist takeover, right, by the felonious commie. They're trying to blame everything that's going on down there, get it, on Trump and Trump's backers, right? Government provocateurs are committing acts of violence. They're vandalizing. They're committing real crimes down there. And they're being captured, and they're being given to the police by the patriots, by the Brazilian patriots. Yes, folks, patriots. Patriots have a right and a personal duty to protect their country from fraud, as well as protecting their country from government provocateur agents. Hopefully, folks, during this next level SHTF that's happening, hopefully the military enjoins the actions and takes the country back, or takes it out of the hands of these fraudsters and weeds them out, because they are the ones who stole the nation's government control. And we need the military, or they need the military down there to reinstall a legitimate government. And during Sunday Night Live, I laid down, how would you say, a fictitious order of events that make a whole hell of a lot more sense than what is going on in our world today. How the military should take over. They should take the government and make them take oaths. If not, arrest them, try them for treason. If they don't do their jobs after retaking their oaths, arrest them, try them for treason. Right now, are you familiar with Operation Valkyrie? That was an operation that was started against World War II German Nazis. And there was an assassination attempt against Hitler. And what followed that was a struggle over who controlled the German government. Unfortunately, Hitler wasn't killed, and he got the military back on his side before the end of the day. That was Operation Valkyrie. Right now in Brazil, the people are trying to take control of their government. And there's a struggle. Brazil right now has this opportunity. The Brazilian government has this opportunity to use the military to remove the conspirators and return the nation to its rightful, legitimate owners, the people. Not the communist takeover, but the people. Now let's watch and hope they get this right. And remember the Soviet Union, folks. It had a communist takeover, and the military wasn't able to stop it, and it became a communist nation. China, they had the People's Revolt. It wasn't the people. It was a communist takeover by a very small number of communists who then seized power of the government and started murdering their own people. And now we've got Brazil, which has been taken over by communists. And it is up to the people to rewrite what has to happen, not allow this new communist government to come in and rewrite history and claim legitimacy and steal the country from the people and then start murdering them. Folks, this is next level SHTF, Mad Max style. Unbelievable. So, Brazilian patriots are trying to take their country back. Oh, by the way, can you see this happening in America? Can you see it? Can you see how this is possible? That our country is taken over by government insiders who no longer serve the people, who have disavowed their oaths secretly and lie on media in order to screw us over until they convince us they're in charge and we no longer are free or own our country and we must obey them. Do you see how sneaky and underhanded these fucks are? Trust me, folks, it's real and it's happening. Down in Brazil, though, they got in a big hurry. And that's the difference between a socialist and a communist. All a communist is a socialist in a big, big hurry. And down in Brazil, they got in a big hurry, put a communist in, and the people won't have it. In America, the socialists here, they're taking their time. They're slowly turning the country. But back to Brazil to give you an idea of how things happen in a hurry. The communists are trying to clamp down and take control back from the people. The communist Lula regime government is trying to send in buses and trying to arrest the opposition, the protesters, the people. They're trying to take them and haul them off to prison. Right? Hotels are being ordered to turn over guest lists. They're trying to find out who is opposed to a communist takeover. What do you think is going to happen to the people who show up on these registers? Think about it. They're going to go back to their homes. If they catch these people, they're going to catch them and their families and their children, and guess what they're going to do to them? You don't have to look into the future to find out what happened. You can look to the past. Look to the Stalinist past and see what Stalin did to those who opposed him and the communists. Look back at China, communist China, and see what happened when they opposed Chairman Mao and his takeover. So Chairman Lula, wait, let's call him by a more modern term. President Lula, El Presidente, right? He wants to put people on buses. How about trains with shackles? No, we'll use buses this time. And guest lists, snitch on your neighbors, tell on everyone. They're hauling them off if they can catch them. The people need to stand up and fight. It's now or never. It's fucking over in Brazil if they let Lula get a comfortable seat under his ass and get the police and the military behind him. If that happens, it's over, folks. The commies are trying to stop the momentum of the patriots in Brazil. And we were promised, were we not? We were promised a civil war was going to start in Brazil if Bolsonaro didn't tell the military to do their job, and he didn't. And Bolsonaro did not tell the people to get their asses to the Capitol. So they didn't. Lula was sworn in. And trust me, folks, that does not make him legitimate. Oh, it doesn't. We'll talk more about legitimacy in a moment. Are the commies going to just give up because there's some resistance? No, folks. And especially if they have police and military or other troopers obeying them. And now I'm going to say something that was really, really awful when I learned this. Republican representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I used to call her Big Marge. Now she's Compromised Marge. She was a firebrand. She was an ass kicker. Well, she decided that she was going to go on Fox News. She was going to go on Media Buzz. Yep. Guess what? She started supporting Kevin McCarthy. Took some selfies with him. Unbelievable. Now she's on Media Buzz, and guess what? She is now agreeing that Joe Biden is legitimately elected. Right? She wants to distance herself from QAnon. And I don't blame her because QAnon, right, is QAnon. That's not the full, true patriot movement. The patriot movement is people like you and me who love our country and are looking at real, solid facts, not conspiracy theories. Facts. Right? So this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene did, right? She went on with Howard Kurtz, mentioned that she was removed from her committee assignments in 2021. Yeah. And she wants all of that back. So it's sad to say, but she appears to have sold out. So here's what Kurtz said. Quote, "Do you believe that Joe Biden is the legitimately elected president?" Marge Taylor Greene, compromised Marge, says, quote, "Of course, Joe Biden is the president. That's always a silly question." I'm not trying to be silly. I was just trying to clarify, said Kurtz. So Big Marge says that's always a silly question. Is it silly? What do the facts show us about Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Pennsylvania? Has everyone forgotten that shit? I haven't. It's right up here. And then to say that's always a silly question. Well, apparently for Marge Taylor Greene, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, it wasn't a silly question. It's just that she was stripped of her committee assignments by the Democrats, and she wants her power back. I guess she's decided, well, since she's there, she may as well enrich herself and just give up on America. What has she seen, folks? This is always interesting to me. If you've ever been part of somebody who sells out and gives up, there's one thing like stepping out of the limelight and saying, I quit. Right? I've had enough. I'm full. I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck it. I quit. That's quitting. But when someone just switches sides, does a 180-degree turn, and then comes back to your face and insults the hell out of you, someone who's your friend one day and not the next, someone who says, hey, man, you're the best. I love you. You're great. And the next day says, who the hell are you? I don't like you. You're nobody. That's what Big Marge has basically done. So why? What is she gaining? Did she just realize, did Kevin McCarthy take her out to the woodshed and offer her money, positions, power? Did he take her to the woodshed and sit down with the Illuminati gang and they told her, hey, we're taking over the country. There's no way you can win. Look at all this stuff we got and all these things we have planned. And now that you know it, if you disagree with us, guess what? We'll just wax you. We'll erase you. We'll JFK your dumbass. Or has Marjorie Taylor Greene been replaced by a robot? Did they do a Wrath of Khan Star Trek and put a little thing in her ear that went down and ate her brain and took control of her? Those are conspiracy theories, folks. The robot and the brain bug, that's conspiracy theory. It's a little more questionable as to how she did a 180-degree flip, seemingly flipping like that, We've got some next level SHTF shit coming. For her to flip, she's been convinced she's on the wrong team. So was it money? Was it threats to her family? Right? You would think that the more, how do we put this? The more honorable thing to do would have been to say, you know what? After this McCarthy thing, because it started, the Republican Party can't get its shit together, I resign. There would have been some dignity in that. It would have been understandable. She doesn't want to participate anymore. I get it. That's quitting and walking away and saying, fuck it. I'm done. But she got something else out of this because she's back and she's all smiles and she's in with the leadership. She's in with the leadership. Now, I really hope this is a double agent, secret Dakota ring, squirrel move where she gets back into power, learns shit, and then comes out and exposes it all. Holds a press conference to talk about maybe some corporate welfare for a bunch of woke candy corporations. And then while she's got the microphone, spills her guts and says, hey, I'm sorry I had to upset everybody, but I needed to get inside to get the information to share it with you. Now remember, Marge Taylor Greene was one of the handful of Republican representatives who went to the Washington, D.C. gulag prison system and demanded to see the prisoners that were being held unconstitutionally. She and I believe Getz and Cotton and a couple others, maybe Gozer. I think Gozer was there as well. There were just a very few who stood up and said, what the fuck is going on around here? Unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. Oh, by the way, get your questions down below. I'm doing my 30-minute monologue, folks, and I'm almost done. It's going to be time for your questions. Are you ready for what's going on? I sure hope so. I sure hope you are. What do we got here? Have we got... Yes, we do. It looks like Uman's going to be flipping the questions to me. So let me make sure I've got them here. Ah, boy, I tell you. Oh, okay. Nope, no, I got Jolene is here. Very good. Technology. Amazing stuff. And I have no idea why we lost signal earlier in the show, folks. Makes no sense to me. But let's do this. I went long yesterday on the Q&A, long into my side. So today we're going to go just a minute early. I'm going to save some of my gunpowder for later. But for now, let's jump to you guys.
Are you ready?
Okay, it's really hard to give up my monologue and switch over. I wanted to do it early, just in case. All right, Jolene, what do we want to start with here? We got Uman starting, and he makes an interesting point, as Uman always does. He says, Marge, that is compromise Marge, was great while she lasted, but politicians never fail to disappoint, like every politician will do. At some point, so will DeSantis, Boebert, Getz, Jordan, etc., if they haven't already. Pardon me. I have what's known as a cough and a little sniffle, but it's not COVID. I have a good old-fashioned cold. Now, Uman says at some point, so will DeSantis and Boebert and Getz and Jordan. All politicians disappoint. I'm going to agree with you, Uman. There have been times when DeSantis has disappointed me, and Governor Abbott quite frequently. No one is perfect. But I want to say that there's a big difference and this is the debate point that I would be having with Uman if you were on live with me. Politicians disappoint. But do all politicians flip 180 degrees and shit all over their constituents? Now, several years ago, we had lots of really hardcore congressmen. This is during the Obama regime in the White House, like Trey Gowdy. Trey Gowdy used to talk and sound all tough and shit, and then he quit and went away. If we can, Jolene, go ahead and keep that up there because I think it's a very salient point. Thank you so much. Whoops, and whoops again. If we can, let's get that back up. There we are. Yeah. Trey Gowdy shit all over Americans the other day. Tucker Carlson, had to address it. Jim Jordan of Ohio is a very smart, very strong character, has fought very hard, but he's kind of fizzled. They tried, folks, flipping Getz. I don't think Getz is, he disappointed me the other day. Yes, he said that's it. There's no sense in holding out anymore on Representative Turdball McCarthy. And he turned and flipped his vote. I think I have my reasons and understanding that the point had been made. Right? Kevin McCarthy gave in on everything that was demanded. But there wasn't enough votes to vote for someone else. So it would have been a continuous stalemate that would have ended up hurting the Patriots, I guess. They could make that point and justify it. But here's the deal, folks. Getz disappointed, but he hasn't flipped. He hasn't become a leftist douchebag. He hasn't sold out and become a rhino. At least not yet. And I sure hope he doesn't. But Jordan's gotten weaker. Boebert, also very strong. I hope she doesn't. Yeah, they never fail to disappoint. I wonder if Big Marge is going to be inviting Boebert to her house. Or I wonder if Boebert's going to invite Big Marge to her place after this screw job. So again, I don't know if you caught everything, Uman, while you had stepped out of the studio in the Great White North. But they never fail to disappoint. No one's perfect. But flipping 180 degrees, that's treason. It's political treason. Look what Benedict Arnold did. He was one of the greatest. He was on par with kicking ass like George Washington, literally, until he flipped 180 degrees and started working for the other side. And so now Benedict Arnold, it has become an adjective. Don't be a Benedict Arnold, right? It's synonymous. That's Benedict Arnold like. It's synonymous with traitor, treason, and screwing over your people. I wonder how far Big Marge will go before she admits that what she did was wrong. Or if she ever does. If she becomes the new byword for treason. We'll find out. I know that Dan Crenshaw, Cyclops, I know that he, pretended to be a Republican and has done nothing but attack real Republicans, patriots, and even little girls. All right, great point, Uman. I'm glad we had the discussion. I'm sorry if you missed some of it. You may have stepped out of your office there. Anyways, let's move on if we shall. Jolene, who do we have up next on the Prepared Mind channel's Q&A? It is no one other than Max himself. And he says, the Great Reset was Cerveza bug. It happened. Now we just see more of a die-off after 30% inflation. That's it. The worst is over. I don't know. I would say, well, can they do more to us? Well, I think the question is, what were they trying to do? What is the Great Reset all about? Is it financial? Is it monetary? Is it military? Is it political? Is it constitutional? Is it educational? Is it social? Or is it everything in our lives, in our world, and they're trying to transform everything globally to fit their paradigm, their future, their belief system. I think that's the case, in all truth. I really do. I think that's what they want, and that's what they're up to. I really believe that that is what they want, folks, to change everything. I think it's more than just COVID, but COVID happened. It's more than just inflation and crashing the financial system and replacing the dollar with the new central bank digital currency system and taking the US dollar away as the petro dollar, the world reserve currency. I think it's more than just that. And when you say a die-off after 30% inflation, what about the die-off from people who are on the Jim Jones juice? I think they have a population reduction program in mind as part of the Great Reset. Oh, this is going to get nasty. Anyways, Max, I don't think the worst is over. I think if they want, it can get a whole lot worse and a whole lot uglier. But I hope you are right. And while I hope on one hand, I'll prepare for the worst, because chance favors the prepared mind. I don't see any evidence of them, Max. And this is what I'll ask you to take a look at and continue to talk to us about it and continue to share your opinion, which is super valuable. Are we seeing evidence that they're continuing, or evidence that they're stopping, that they're giving up, that they're done, they've done enough? Well, they're taking control of Brazil. They didn't just say, we got control of the White House through Biden. We don't need to worry. No, they went after Brazil. They want every country in their system. Are they done with this perverted takeover of our social system? No, they're introducing fruitcake M&Ms now. They're not done spreading that perversion, right? Tom Hanks called some girl, young little girl, sexy in one of his movies that just came out. No, they're not quitting, folks, not at all. They're not giving up with all ages drag queen shows. No, they're continuing to push minor attracted persons. As they want that in the lexicon. They want people using that. Now it needs to be part of the common vernacular and accepted social paradigm. Right? They're not giving up, in my opinion. But I'm going to continue, if you will as well, Max, to look at the changes and see if we can see them letting up, lightening up, giving us our culture, our laws, and our reason, right? Reason, the reasonable mind. Right, the ability to reason is so critical. And I don't see a whole lot of reason coming out of these fuckers. Great comment, great suggestion, great topic to consider. Are they ever letting up? Let's keep an eye out. Jolene, who is next? It is none other than Orlando. And thanks for getting a hold of me the other day via the back channels, Orlando. He said, seeing how there was yet another attack on the electrical side of things, he's talking about Las Vegas. What does a grid down scenario or blackout mean to you personally and in general? What is the most important element to worry about in that time? All right. Power blackout. It's a great question, great topic. Yeah, it's real. All right, power blackout in North Carolina. Whoops. Las Vegas. Whoops. Washington and Oregon. Whoops and whoops. California is doing their own government screw up blackouts. So you ask, what is the most important element to worry about? Well, it's going to continue to be a threat. Energy or electricity blackouts across America. They can do sections of the country. They can do entire geographical regions, or they can do the whole country. Now, when they do, or if they do, I'm going to go with the theory that bad things don't just happen. They're allowed to happen. Oh, John, you conspiracy theorist. Hold on. Every single one of these little mass shooter fruitcakes have been on the FBI's watch list. They've been notified about them in the past. They've been watching them for a year or two. Same with local police. They're well aware of these fruitcakes. Yet, they're continued. They're allowed to get out there. And I know if they haven't committed a crime, they can't arrest them. But hey, they can take your guns under red flag laws for not doing anything wrong. So to me, it looks a lot like they're allowing bad things to happen, probably encouraging it at times that are most beneficial to the government. Now, I'm also going to say a lot of these people that we hear about, yeah, they were on the radar of the FBI or the radar of state and local police. How much do you want to bet? And I'm completely reaching on this one. But how much do you want to bet? And think about it. That these people have been on the radar and have committed actual real crimes that they either did not get caught for or the police just let them go. The prosecutors decided not to prosecute. Or the FBI had a little talk to them and said, hey, we're going to let you off. But guess what? We now own your ass. Ray Epps, anyone? Interesting stuff. So what's the most important element to worry about at the time of any power outage? Well, for us personally, making sure your food doesn't spoil if it's out for a day or 2 or 3 or 4. Right, so having backup power to make sure your food doesn't become a perishable, stinky problem, that's a big deal. That's your problem in your world. Communication, something to worry about. What is really happening? If we had a blackout right now, I'd have to climb up, get on my periscope, look around, right? Little lens would pop up out of the dirt and start looking around, showing me what's going on. Nothing like living in a bunker, folks. You want to see what's going on. Is there chaos up aboard? Go ahead and bring that back up, Jolene. I'm not quite done yet. Thank you. The most important element to worry about is social unrest when power goes out. Are people acting stupid or not? We get to worry about that. Home invasion robberies. You can't call the police if the cell towers are down because your phone doesn't work now. Right? Cell tower down. How are you going to call the police? Because the power is out. Well, they have battery backups. Oh, really? I've had the cell towers go down. How hard is it to take them down? Especially if it's a government contrived problem. Oh, there's all kinds of possibilities. That's the most important stuff to me, though, Orlando, is food. Oh, water. That's a big deal. Right? Power goes out. You may want to make sure you've got some water for the next couple of days because you could lose water or water could become contaminated. So can you sanitize or purify the water that's coming out of your tap if the power is out and the water stays on? Big worry. Home invasion, violence, gas stations shut after a couple of days. Guess what? People can't get fuel into their vehicles. They start panicking and getting stupid. A lot to worry about, Orlando. But nothing that we can't handle if you have prepared, right? Chance favors the prepared mind. All right, Jolene, thank you very much for holding that up there because worry, folks, you shouldn't worry. You should be prepared and prepared to take action, but having a plan so you don't have to worry about it. Who is next as we do the Q&A and work our way through some of the questions before I jump back on it? We got Mikey G with some humor for us all. He says, Biden, Fetterman, 2024. It's a no-brainer. Yeah, it definitely is a no-brainer. I mean, why don't they just bring Lula up from Brazil and run him as the vice president under Biden? Hell, why not make him the president and make Biden the vice president again, since Joe Biden continues to call and refer to himself as the president, or I'm sorry, he refers to himself as the vice president, or refers to other people like Kamala and Obama as the president. And Fetterman, folks, is, Senator Festerman, Uncle Festerman, who is a no-brainer candidate as well. Thank you, Mikey G. Appreciate it. Now we've got James Nicholson with a statement. And he says, hey, John, Cyclops is actually One-Eye McCain. That's right, McCain. He really is. Courtesy of Alex Stein. Yeah, he is One-Eye McCain. And I don't want people to forget that nickname because it describes him politically. But I also think that Cyclops helps people understand him as well. What is the Cyclops? It's a one-eyed monster. And I'm not talking about your Johnson or your one-eyed Willie, but yeah, the Cyclops was a monster, a mythological monster. These rhinos and these Democrats, what have they demonstrated that they are? They're fucking monsters. They would hold you down and your wife or your husband and your children and little babies and inject them all day long if they thought it was useful and they could get away with it. These are some sick monstrosities, folks. They're an abomination because they believe they're the authority and they must be obeyed. They have no fucking clue, or they've completely ignored history, the law, and facts that we, the people, are sovereign, and that the Constitution was set up to govern government and give government very strict instructions. And everything else that they weren't given as far as authority was for us to determine for ourselves, to live freely, right? Shall not be infringed, freedom of speech, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Anyone? Not to these fuckers. They think that if they can find some way to wiggle through it with some chicken shit court ruling, that makes it okay to violate your rights, your life, and your body, and destroy our businesses, our economy, and our dreams and our futures. Fuck them. All right, let's move forward if we shall. And we got Shinobi Wan. Boy. Shinobi Wan says, financial and medical tyranny. Just think about that, folks. Financial and medical tyranny will try to make you bend the knee and roll up your sleeve. Hold the line, my brothers. Do not panic. Do not worry. Keep your health. Grow out the fiat currency. Grow out of it or throw it out, right? And keep your health. This is where they get us. It really is incredibly difficult. This is where they're going to try and hold us all to the fire and make you take the mark, right? Medical tyranny. They want to scare you. They want to say you must obey, right? Oh, I'm waiting for the next pandemic to start. It's coming. It truly is coming. Keep your health. As far as finances go, yeah, they're going to financially break us. So far, I haven't seen any evidence that they're done fucking with this. I know Max thinks they're done, but the Federal Reserve hasn't said, that's it. We're going to quit raising interest rates and we're going to let the country just kind of level off right here. I continue, folks, to hear economists or economic prognosticators say, that's it. The Federal Reserve can't go any further. They've fucked it all up enough. And then lo and behold, they continue to fuck us up financially. I've had people tell me lately that they're becoming more interested in gold and silver. The longer this plays out, the more they see that money, keeping it in the bank, is not a safe idea. I am not a financial advisor or a certified economist, so I can't give advice. But I can tell you that if your financial advisor, your investment specialists, will they give you an honest answer on buying gold and silver to protect your wealth? Because I know there's a lot of wealthy people on this channel. There's a lot of wealthy people here. Do you think your investment advisor is going to tell you to buy gold and silver? I'm going to tell you right now, the answer is 0% chance of them telling you that. The reason is they don't get commissions when you go buy gold and silver. They tried talking me out of cashing in my retirement programs years and years and years ago. Well, it's all gone now, but at least it's not in the hands of these fucking bankers. You know, so we've got a pretty good setup now in America. You can go to what? SD Bullion is an affiliate marketing company, or we've got an affiliate arrangement so we can send people there. I've talked with Dunnigan Kaiser on the phone. Very nice gentleman. If you watched his channel, Liberty and Finance, great guy to work through. It just takes, I guess, a little more time to get the product through them because of their system. We got quite a problem on our hands. Quite a problem. Go to the preparedmind.club and take a look at what we're talking about over there. And you'll get some answers as to what you may want to do when you make your own decisions about what is going to happen in your life as we get to the next level of SHTF. Jolene, who is next? I'm having a ball, folks. You guys are throwing some curveballs and boink, I'm hitting them anyways. We're talking about them. And the point is we need to think, right? I hate this idea that well, if you argue, that means that you don't agree with something. No, I love these points being made. We all come from a different place, a different perspective, a different way of thinking. But as long as we're thinking and critically thinking and using reason and intelligence, right, we still may all come to different answers and different levels of agreement, right? But we should be able to talk and work things out and talk with each other and learn. Crazy stuff, huh? Boy, what's wrong with that? That's how America used to be, where you could talk about people and you didn't agree 100%. Not so much. Right now, Marge Taylor Greene says, fuck you. Everything's just fine. You know, Joe Biden is the greatest ever. Oh, you betcha. Right? Here's your sack full of cash, Marge. Now, run along. All right. Jolene, who is up next? We got Silver Eagle. I wonder if he invests in 1 ounce Silver Eagles. He said, folks need to be careful with groups. The infiltrators are everywhere. One guy I trusted most and trained with turned out to be a huge liar and deceiver. That's interesting, don't you think? You need to be careful with groups. Infiltrators are everywhere. One guy I trusted most and trained with turned out to be a huge liar and deceiver. That's very interesting. I've gotten emails for years over people who said, hey, you know what? A friend of mine for 10 years or 15 years all of a sudden flipped out on me. Said he didn't want to talk to me anymore. That's interesting, right? This is also part of the human condition, right? People get married, they meet, they're in love. They get married, they join their finances, everything is hunky-dory, and then midlife crisis hits or retirement hits, and they get a whole new set of ideas in their head, and they completely turn into someone else. Now, I'm pretty sure that that you guys who watch here, right, recognize me as the same, albeit kooky and loud, but pretty much the same. I have the same message. Get prepared. I have the same message. Government's not your friend. I have the same message. Things are getting worse. I have the same message. Shit has hit the fan. I have the same message. Learn that 10-mile radius around you. I have the same message. Something could happen any day, but they're probably going to continue to do incremental attacks against us. I'm really sorry, Silver Eagle, that you trusted someone, you trained with them, maybe with guns, right? Turned out to be a huge liar and deceiver. Wow. I wonder if he stole a bunch of money. You don't have to bring it up. You don't have to tell us, Silver Eagle. But this is a lesson for us all to learn, right? Protect yourself, protect your preps, protect your group. And we have talked for years about this. In fact, there were a lot of those Armageddon-based shows on television, reality shows, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 6 years ago, where they would put people out there in the field and they would have teams that would try to get back at each other, right? And there would be one person who was incredibly difficult to work with, and they turned out to be a shithead and they fucked everything up. You know, we watched it in TV shows like The Walking Dead, where, you know, one or two of the people every now and then would flip out, freak out, flip sides, screw everyone over. And of course, those are written, but they're also a reflection. It's not just a written script, but it's kind of a reflection of human behavior. So we need to be very careful. And I think one of the key things here for keeping people from flipping or turning or going wonky is to always communicate. Communication is key, right? If you're not communicating your honesty to everyone that you know that you're involved with, Well, they might think, right, differently than you, and you're not communicating with them and they're not communicating with you. Communication is key, and it's really hard. I get it. The amount of communication I do in a day to the number of people I communicate with is very, very difficult to maintain. But please, folks, always communicate. If you feel like your group or someone in your group is kind of wandering off course, say, hey, man, we need to talk. Let's sit down and hammer this out. What seems to be the problem? What are you noticing that's different? What's upsetting you? Is it me? Is it the rest of the group? Is it someone in your family? Are you having trouble with your health? And folks, here is the final key on this one. The final key, right? We've been seeing an increase in this over the last few years. And I bet everyone has seen this in their families, and that is mental health. People just flip the fuck out for no reason, right? They either exhaust themselves and enter a state of extreme depression and flip out, or they're already on SSRIs or some other depression medicine, and they quit taking it and they become psychotic wackos, or they become very angry at everyone and they start attacking everyone. From within, folks, from within, they want to attack, right? They go after the people they love and care and know. It's like, what the hell happened to you? All of a sudden, you're going to change you and then blame us. Interesting stuff. So, Silver Eagle, be very careful, man. Protect yourself, protect your group. And hopefully, whoever this person is, they get the help they need and go a direction that helps them live their life peaceably. Okay, Jolene, do we have one more? I know we're running out of time. Yes, we do. We got Ardor Scout, who writes, in the last 8 months, I had a SHTF situation type going on. I learned you don't need any gear, food, gadgets, just a prepared mind. It got me through. And that is absolutely amazing and fascinating, Ardor Scout. Thank you for sharing that. I'm telling you, chance favors the prepared mind. After that, it's just tools and supplies. If you know what's going on up here, right, you realize, oh, shoot, I could use food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, right? That's what you realize. But if you don't have the prepared mind, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have an understanding of what is out there, what is around your world, you are in a world of hurt. Prepared means having all kinds of resources, not just guns and gadgets, but, right, resources out in your community, family resources or group resources, if you will. But being prepared mentally for what comes at us, right? What good is a tool, right, if you aren't mentally prepared and practiced with it? Interesting stuff. Very fascinating. Thank you. Now, I'm going to end this show with some next level stupidity. Joe Biden told an El Paso Salvation Army worker that he, quote, spent some time with Secret Service in Poland. What planet is Joe from, folks? What planet does he think he's on? And does Joe Biden think that the Salvation Army is a branch of the U.S. military? So he's meeting with a U.S. He's meeting with a Salvation Army worker, and he's like, "Hey, man, yeah, I was in the Secret Service in Poland, man. I'm glad. Thank you for your service." He probably tells this guy in the Salvation Army, right? Thank you for serving your country as a member of the armed forces. Wow. He says, I'm sure this guy, maybe he told Joe Biden, well, the motto of the Salvation Army is, I think, blood and guts, something like that. I can't remember. It's been a few years since I've even looked at it. They have a motto that does not sound friendly. But here we are, folks. Here we are. Joe Biden he spent some time with Secret Service in Poland. What the hell does that mean? That's the President of the United States. Unbelievable. Folks, chance does favor the prepared mind. Is yours. I saw that, Jolene. It popped up on the screen. Anyways, chance does favor the prepared mind. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. It's never a mistake, Jolene. It's all part of the fun. Folks, get prepared. Stay prepared. Stay on top of the information so when it happens, when we take another step in the process or we get a big event, you're not taken by surprise. You can say you saw it coming and you were ready for it, and you can help yourself, help your family, and help others when shit hits the fan and it gets real. Semper Fi, Godspeed.